Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. It's the Friday Night Lights, and we have lots and lots to discuss this week. So much, actually, that I'm not even sure we're going to fit it all into one show, which is good. The Euros are coming to an end, which means the transfer market is well and truly open, I think it's fair to say. And Cardiff City have made some interesting moves straight away. As always, to discuss all of those things and everything else that's happened this week, which has been a very interesting week to say the least. I'm delighted to be joined by Pan, aka the Greek Leak. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, very good, Si. Yeah, good to be on tonight. There's so much to talk about. I think we need about 2 hours, I think.
Oh, I know, it's incredible, isn't it? It's been I'll just turn my camera off. That's always helpful. It's been a crazy, mad week, mate. It's so much been going on. Just bear with me a second. I'll keep talking. There's just been so much going on. It's difficult to know where to start. I think. Let's start at the start of the week, I guess. Obviously, last Saturday, we hosted our latest in what is now becoming a long line of City Legend events with Joe Ledley, which went down an absolute scream. It was a really great night. Joe Ledley was excellent. The man is a born entertainer. He was singing, he was dancing, answered all the questions. But to be honest with you, apart from the overall thing of the show going well and everything, the feedback being great, what was most pleasing for me was that Joe Ledley finally got the opportunity to go in detail and give his side of why he left Cardiff City Football Club. And I think when people do, like when the online version goes up in a few weeks or whatever, like I think I would like to think that some of those people who still give him a bit of grief will kind of ease off that a little bit, because he's a hometown boy. He came through the academy, did his best for the club, scored some incredible goals at some big times for the club, and I gotta say, it was really engaging, really interesting. But I was just really pleased that he got to give his side, because it feels like he hasn't really responded, and certainly at the time, Peter Ridsdale publicly kind of hung him out to dry, said he was playing like he was ready to leave and this, that, and the other. But actually, as it turns out, when Stoke made a bid for him in January, he accepted. He sort of accepted that it was probably the right time. The club needed the money. He was willing to go, and it was the club that turned down that £5 million bid. And then the club knew he was out of contract, so by turning down that bid, they kind of forced his hands, But I'll kind of leave it there. But like it was interesting. It was great. And then from that show on Saturday, everything came around a bit quick. And now we're doing a live event on the 26th of July with the new Wales manager, Craig Bellamy, as well as the head of the chief executive of the FAW, Noel Mooney, at Splott Cons, the same venue. And look, I'd be lying if I said I'm not chuffed. I'm not excited. I'm not really looking forward to it. It's sold out in less than 24 hours. We will obviously keep people up to date on if there becomes any tickets available and things like that. But in terms of that week, that was an interesting start to the week, mate, to say the least.
Well, that's a great coup getting Bellamy and the chief exec on. I think, Simon, there's no surprise the tickets went so quick.
No. And I think it's a weird thing, though, isn't it? Because like whenever you're selling tickets for anything, like with these events, I found is like it doesn't matter who it is. You've got that anxiety of, are they going to sell? Are people going to come, etc. And obviously that went pretty quickly. But I mean, you still have it. It was still definitely there. And it's certainly been, like, I'd be lying if I said it hasn't been a stressful week. Like it all came together very, very quickly. But yeah, it's going to be great now. I'm really excited. I'm relaxed and happy. And I got to say, as soon as we've done this show, I'm kind of switching off my phone until Sunday night. Till I got to another show. I'm going to take a day off with my son and my wife tomorrow. But in terms of Cardiff City, my friends, it's been a very busy week. And I was at the start, during that early part of the week, I was kind of out of the loop a lot because I'd spent so much time kind of getting everything together and, sorting everything because it was quite a quick turnaround that I was kind of out of the loop with Cardiff until Wednesday. But I soon became in the loop. And I've got to say, like we've talked about a lot of players over the last couple of weeks, mate. And I know we have probably focused on largely, or I have in some of the shows I've done as well, like largely on the kind of the cheap options, the gambles from the lower leagues and things like that. I think at the start of the week we were linked with Millicent Ali from Exeter City. I don't know how that's developing at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in because I think it's very low risk. Particularly, we've got Chris Willock in today. There's still a lot of rumours surrounding Casey McAteer from Leicester. So you add those two to the squad. I think you can then add Millicent Ali without any pressure on him whatsoever, because he can just be the backup and play his way in that that raise in standard and stuff like that. So it's going to be very, it's going to be difficult if he does come in for him because it is a big jump in standard. But at least he's not coming in as like one of the first choice wing options, and there's a lot of pressure on him to perform then. And I think, look, let's start with Chris Willock, mate. He's over the line officially, announced by the club. I know Callum Chambers trained with the side and stuff today, so it's basically done, but he hasn't been officially announced. But we will talk about Callum Chambers in a minute. Talk to me about Chris Willock, though, mate, because I think he was on me and you certainly discussed him the other day. I can't remember if he was on any of our lists, but we definitely, we had a chat about him.
Yeah, we did. We was one of our names that was on our list side for potential wingers that we could sign, and it turns out we've signed him. And I think, I was really pleasantly surprised when we signed him, because if you look at him as a player, he's been Player of the Year at QPR. He's 26. We talked about some of the younger players we could sign, but I think we need to get someone in who's going to hit the ground running. He's got a lot of experience. We talked about him being schooled at Arsenal, played at Benfica, went on loan to a couple of other championship clubs. And, I'm over the moon about it. I think most City fans should be over the moon about this signing because, as I said, 20-odd goals, 22, 23 assists. Yes, his last season wasn't as good as a couple of seasons previous to that, but that's all related to QPR's form as it is. They've been down the table. And, you talk to most QPR fans and they'll say they wanted to keep him.
Yes.
He's out of contract. I think we need to really praise, Tan and the board really for bringing in a guy. Okay, he's a free transfer, but you can guarantee this guy's going to be on a shed load of money. I mean, he's probably on 20 grand a week, and over 3 years, that's £3 million. So fans, always forget, if we haven't signed him for any money, but he has come on a big wages without question. He's probably in the prime of his life in terms of age. And I think, as QPR fans will say, he's definitely one they didn't want to lose. He's definitely going to be a step up on bowler. If you look at all these stats, I'm not one for stats, but if you look at his stats, they're definitely a lot better than bowlers. And I think, he will add experience. And definitely, I don't know about you, Si, but I was over the moon when I heard that transfer.
Yeah, mate. I know. I spoke to a couple of QPR fans today. They offered him a decent contract. It looked, by all accounts, like he was going to sign or re-sign, and all of a sudden he was on his way down to Cardiff. So, if I'm guessing, and this is not based on any information or anything anyone's told me, I'm guessing, I would say that Cardiff did exactly what Swansea did to us with Wayne Routledge, whereby it was all kind of done and agreed. And we've come in at the last minute and said, no, come to us. And he's obviously fancied it. He's come down. He's only 26, but he's had, he is vastly experienced, played, in all around Europe. like you said, his assists and his stats are good, but like I prefer the eye test, mate. Like you always take into consideration stats and attributes and things like that. But to me, I always prefer to rely on that sort of eye test, and he passes that with flying colours. He adds that bit of creative spark. What I like about him, mate, is yes, he scores goals, but he creates, and that's what we have lacked in our wingers last season. Is both Grant and Bowler were more about trying to score than create opportunities for the striker and for the number 10 and for the midfield. And I'm really excited by it. I think it's a great signing. One of the things which I like actually about all the players that we've been linked with this week is they're all very versatile. He could, in Willock's case, he could play left, he could play right, he could probably play as a 10 if you needed him to. Could probably play in a 3 in midfield. And I think he's also played a few games as a centre forward. Not a great deal. I think he's only played like about 8 games up front in his career as a whole. But, that versatility is important. You look at, I mentioned Callum Chambers a minute ago, can play right back to a high level, can play centre back to a very high level, can play CDM. So you've like straight away, it just gives you so much options, because I've speculated that I think Bulut likes a 3 at the back. Well, straight away, Chambers plays into that. And I think you said to me yesterday that you probably felt like if Chambers is coming in, maybe that means that probably Perry NG's leaving. But I don't necessarily think, I'm not saying it won't, because I think it is obviously a chance. We've discussed it. There's a chance that Perry goes. But we could also switch to a 3, and Perry or Chambers can play the right-hand side of that 3. And I just think it opens up a whole world of options for the manager, because, if Siopis needs a rest now, I think Eli King is certainly being considered as the backup for that sort of number 6 role. But if Eli's struggling with the jump up in, quality and intensity, you can slot in Callum Chambers there to give Siopis a break without too much sort of drama or worries. Really experienced. He's in England international, mate. He's played 3 times for England.
Yeah.
So,
No, I agree. I think, I said you talk about Callum Chambers. I think Cardiff City fans I've spoken to have been, some of them have been saying, well, why haven't we signed a... You've got to look at it.
You just broke it. Sorry, Pat. Just repeat what you said.
I was saying about, Cardiff City fans were like, I've spoken to the last day or so, were saying, well, where's the striker? Where's the striker? And I think, look at the players we've signed. Willock, best player QPR, fantastic addition on that, probably play right side. Callum Chambers, probably, Premier League experience galore. He's going to be one of the better Championship defenders without question. On big money again, bought out his contract. This is a statement of intent from City, and I said, I still believe that Perry NG will go, because I think that if Chambers comes in, he comes in on the right, and then McGuinness and Gutas and Collins, and then you've got a solid defence. If Perry goes for 4 or 5 million, Siopis in front of that, and then Willock on the right, and you're starting to see a team that's put together. It could be Ramsey's back to full fitness in there. That you're already looking at from 1 to 8 of a really good team for a top 10 on paper. Obviously the game's not played on paper. But I was disappointed as some City fans saying, where's the striker? We need the striker. Without a striker. But these 2 signings show that we have got intent to be competitive at the top end of the season. So I'm pretty sure the next guy coming in, if it is Milanic Ali, for example, that's a good squad player. He's got a lot of potential on the other side. But the striker will come in, I think, will be a name that we know maybe, or someone who's got, a good reputation.
Yeah, and I think one thing it does say to me, mate, is if Isaac Davis is staying with Cardiff City this year, then he's probably playing through the middle. The way it's kind of shaping up, because I think Keane Ashford will be the backup option on one side. Maybe Ali will be the backup option on the other side. So that kind of it, I think, indicates that, you know, Isaac Davis is probably going to be the backup number 9, maybe. I don't know. It's obviously will depend on how he does in pre-season, if he impresses. Obviously, we've talked about the potential they may sell him. It's fascinating, mate, because I got to be honest, right? One of the things I said, I think I said it on last Friday's show, is I felt that it was important that Cardiff got players in before they got them out. Because if they got them all out, if they got rid of all the players they're going to sell, whoever it may be, clubs know then you're desperate for players and they will overprice and they will. Whereas now, if someone comes in for Perry NG, we can go, well, we don't really need to sell him. But if you put us if you match what we value him at, then okay. If we go and search for, whether it's Casey McAteer has been very, heavily linked. I again, what a signing that would be. I really got to say, I'm like as excited as I am about Willock. I'm almost as excited about Casey McAteer coming in. I know that's it's not over the line. He's 22 years old. Can play right, can play left again, mate. Can play in the 10. Very versatile. But what did we say when Bulut signed his contract? You did a video, we did a show. The boys on the Flower Hour did shows. We all said the same thing. The club have to back him now, and they have to be like proactive about it. They can't, be dragging it out and all summer. Willie won't eat this and Willie won't eat that. And you have to give them credit, mate. They've gone and got Willock at the last minute of him re-signing with QPR. Then they've got Callum Chambers, who's playing Premier League football, and he's bought out his contract. They're linked with, I would imagine, I think it's safe to say they've at least had a discussion with Casey McAteer. You've got Millicent Ali, who's a young, exciting player from a lower league. So it's not just buy the big names, it's buying the right people for what we need, and it's quality over quantity is what I like, mate. Like every single player if you take out Millicent Ali as a bit of a project, and you say, right, Chambers and Willock, they both improved the first 11 straight away. And I think that instead of raising the floor, if you raise the ceiling, suddenly your squad becomes looking a lot stronger on paper because you've got options. Pan, it might, if I were you, mate, it seems like your signal's struggling a little bit. If you go out of the link and then come back in, and then it should refresh it, mate. I don't know why you're struggling.
Yeah, I think I'm right now.
Yeah, you've caught up a bit now. I think it's like quality over quantity, basically. And I like that because instead of just bringing in like loads of players to try and beef up the squad, we're raising the ceiling. Like we're raising the better players in the squad, which suddenly makes your squad deeper. Do you believe that? So one of the strikers that I've heard a little whisper that is on our shortlist at the very least is someone who you mentioned in your list, which was Ross Stewart. So I wanted to get your opinion on that. Like by no means, is it sort of done or anything like that. I think he's just someone who's been linked with us. Do you believe that you still think he'd be a good sign-in for us with what we've already brought in as well? Okay, Pans. Internet link is struggling this evening for whatever reason. I'll go to some of the comments while we just wait for him to come back. Evening. Yeah, good camera work at the start. Where's your right there? I tried to move it and I turned it off. Reese says, question, are you going to discuss only Welsh stuff with Bellamy or is his time at Cardiff and his career? So predominantly we'll be talking grassroots football. We'll be talking obviously the Wales and Welsh stuff. I'm sure we'll touch on Craig's playing career as well. And obviously there'll be questions from the audience as well. So you'll have the opportunity to ask certain questions and things like that. It's going to be a full house. It's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to it. James says away kit ? Yeah, I saw an image of it on the weekend, and it's interesting. It's interesting. Look, I want to be true to myself and true to what I've said to my friends, and that is, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by the kits they've released for the 125th anniversary. The home kit I quite like. I think the home kit's quite nice. I like the badge, and I think it's decent. Is it what I would have gone for? No, it's not. I would have gone for a proper retro kit with the stripe and etc. The away kit, again, I feel very much like it's a missed opportunity. I like the thought process behind it with the charcoal and the mining background and things like that. I do like that. I like the thinking behind it, but I think the execution has been a little bit poor. The big collar is not great either. But I do think the club, look, it's only my personal opinion, and many people may disagree. That's fine. It's what it's all about. But I do feel like we've missed the boat a little bit with these 125th anniversary kits. Pan, someone just asked about the away kit. Got any thoughts on what you think of it?
Yeah, absolute disaster, Simon. Absolute disaster. I can't believe it. You know, it's probably one of the worst kits I've ever seen in my life. I don't understand who they pay. I wonder if they go to a kinder school, garden school, like, you know, and just get a load of 5-year-old kids to sort of, you know, because I think the kids in the school would do a lot better than whoever all these paid people big money to sort of come up with designs. It's absolutely unbelievable. And you're absolutely right. 125 years, saying, you know, of it's a special year. To come up with that kind of kit is absolutely shocking. I mean, the home kit, I do like the fact that we've got the badge. You know, I love that. That's just the Bluebird. I'm quite happy with that. But, you know, I'm from an era of the late 70s, 80s, and obviously that famous strip. And I can't understand when we're trying to sort of, you know, sell the club marketing-wise and promoting it. If you look at your Lutons and your Crystal Palaces, you know their kit. Even though they're not big clubs, if someone said to me, oh yeah, I know that's Crystal Palace. And I said, these are the type of tops that you can sell, because it's all well and good local fans buying their own club shirts, but I can guarantee there's a market for fashion shirts. So, you know, it's like me going to my wife's country, because I grew up at a time, you know, where I loved Peru, the international team. So I started watching the 1978 World Cup. And when I was 8 years of age, I saw Peru, and I loved that white with the red strip. And I bought that kit, and I'm still buying the kit now. So, you know, there's a fashion thing about football kits these days. And I think we've missed the trick. You know, we should be having the home kit should have been the blue, yellow and white stripe down. And we should be using that as our club kit going forward, and just sort of, you know, because it has to be distinctive. How many teams have got a blue kit? You know, it's ridiculous. You could probably name about 15. And there's nothing other than the badge that really distinguishes us. So I'm glad we've got rid of the squiggly, whatever it was from Malaysia. It was on the badge in red from previous seasons. But, you know, as I said, we could have done a lot better, Si.
Yeah, it just feels like a missed opportunity, mate. I got to be honest. But look, I like the simplicity of the home kit, but I just think it's, like I said, a missed opportunity to have a kit with, you know, like similar to the one behind you there, with that stripe, could make yourself stand out from everybody in the whole league, but also kind of bring the fan base together with like a retro kit, which is universally loved by the majority. You can also do a yellow version as your away kit. You can do a white version as your third kit, or like,
yeah.
But yeah, the general reaction has been a poor one, unfortunately, to the away kit. Interestingly, like saying a couple of people saying like they've got the centenary shirt still, and people do hold on to football kits. I have got a green West Germany shirt from when I was like a kid, which I bought on holiday, and it's like lime, not like lime green, but it's like a weird green color, and it's got like orange, red, and yellow bit like at the top. It's a beautiful kit. Like,
yeah.
it's just one of them things. Like if you see it sometimes, there's so many people out there who, yes, you buy your team's kit and stuff, but there's also a lot of people out there who just they go searching for different kits that they just like, you know.
Yeah,
yeah. But look, let's focus on the positives, because I do think, by and large, Cardiff City have made a very positive start to the transfer window. I think you could fairly criticise Cardiff City over the years for being a bit sluggish, a bit slow, a bit reactive in the transfer market, and I think you have to give them credit, because, and like even like the players that we have discussed on this channel over the last couple of weeks, you know, I don't think we've discussed many defenders as good as Callum Chambers is at the top of his game, and as experienced but still young is, you know, he's a winner as well. Like he's won trophies, he knows what he's doing, and you need that sort of experience. Bulut in his sort of interview when he re-signed his contract said he wants to push for promotion in the playoffs. So that's a bold statement with the squad that we had at that, like in that moment. That was a bold statement because we had nowhere near a playoff squad.
Whereas don't forget, Simon, as well, about, you know, a few years ago, he went for up to 15 million quid. I mean, this guy has had horrendous injuries many years ago, and he's been unfortunate. I mean, you could look at it from the point of view he's made less than, say, 200 appearances over his career, but they're all at, you know, high level, and you're coming, you know, he's taken he's still fairly young, you know, he's 29, he's not over the hill, he's not 32. So for him to buy out his contract and commit himself to Cardiff City tells you that he felt that the club sold themselves to him to say, look, we're not messing about this season. We've just signed Chris Willock, who we'll know well. We're on, you know, and the club would have told him the type of profile of players they're looking to bring in. They know they need a striker. They know they need another midfielder or winger, you know, so there's no way in a million years that Callum Chambers would have come to us unless he knew that we were going for it this season. And I don't mean top two. I mean being competitive at the top end, you know, because we know how difficult it is, the Championship. But if Cardiff City fans from these two signings can't see that we're on the path of, my God, this is going to be a really progressive season, I don't know what it's, because as I said, the grumblings about the striker not coming in, yeah, you know, all fans are waiting for that moment. I mean, while we're on the subject of signings, and I know we talked about strikers and wingers before, but I don't know if we talked about, you might have mentioned it before, Si, about Devontae Cole.
Yes.
And the fact that he's out of contract and he scored something like, you know, 18 goals in 46 last season, 37 in 91 in the last two seasons, admittedly in League One.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
It's crazy. I mean, he's 28, 29. He's got a lot of experience. That guy there, I mean, I know there's other sort of fairly big League One clubs that have been very interested in, like Charlton, but there's no reason why he's not on our radar, you know. And again,
definitely
with the punt, you know, he's someone who can score goals. I'm not saying he's miles better than some of the others, but he would be a step up on the strikers we've had. So I think, you know, we talked about Chris Wood would be our dream, you know, but as I said, I think with the two signings we brought in, as you said, there's a statement of intent by Cardiff City that any future signings in the main are going to be that kind of level, which is really encouraging. Even if we sign Ali on the wing from Exeter, I still would be excited because he is a young, promising player. And as I said, you know, if there are good players out there in League One, then why not be interested? You know, it's not just about saying, oh, he's from League One, he hasn't done much in the last season. I mean, you've got to look at it as sometimes with a couple of players who come in as not necessarily hitting the ground running in the first team, there will be some squad players brought in. So I think we've got to be really excited about the direction we're going in.
Yeah, so I heard a whisper that Stuart is on the list, who you mentioned, obviously, in our striker show the other week. You mentioned him, and that he's, you know, and I'm not saying, like, again, I want to be very clear, like, I'm not in the know or anything like that. I'm not saying that he's coming. What I'm saying is that I've heard that he's one of the options that we're looking at. I think when we discussed it, my biggest kind of worry with him was he hasn't played a lot of football in the last sort of 12 months. But I mean, that can mean little to nothing. It can mean everything, of course. Like he could break down and keep breaking down. But he could have just had that 1 year where it's just, injuries have just sort of nagged him, and then he's going to have a proper preseason. He's going to get fit, and everything will be fine. Do you think he's got the quality though, mate, to be that guy for us?
Oh, without question, Sam. We discussed it before. He scored a shed load of goals. I mean, he throughout his career he scored goals. So there's no question. And like you said, he's not got a history of injuries like Ramsey. He's had a bad injury. He came back in the playoff final. Obviously Southampton signed him for big money, and he came on in that playoff final. So that was his comeback game after a quite long spell out. So. Again, with these players, if they're back to full fitness, and it's not an injury that, the club, because you've got to have a medical and all that anyway. So I think, again, Stewart would be a statement. But, really speaking, you're talking a guy like that is going to be on loan because he's gone to Southampton for 4 or 5 million quid. We're not going to be buying that guy for 5 million quid. You're going to be loaning a guy who's probably on 25 grand a week. But again, it just depends on Southampton and whether they feel that he's going to make a contribution to their first team squad. And who knows? But yeah, as I said, we've got to just look at it as Willock and Chambers are fantastic signings. We're going to be, if we're looking at strikers in that kind of level, then we're really in a good position. We should be really excited. 3 or 4 more signings coming in. We discussed maybe 6 in total. But as I said, there's a lot of ifs, aren't there? Will Perry NG go? Will Isaac Davis go? Ebo Adams looks like that's going to be done and dusted early next week for probably $750,000.
Oh, mate, that's what I was going to say for you. It's actually so. I got asked by BBC Derby to do another follow-up interview yesterday. Unfortunately, I wasn't available. However, I probably will, when it's confirmed now. But basically, Cardiff turned down. My understanding of that is we've turned down 2, maybe 3 bids for Ebo Adams from Derby, and then the final bid, which adds up, I think it's about $750,000 up front, and then with add-ons, it'll be just slightly over $1 million. Which, say what you want about Steve Morrison, mate, but a couple of his signings who he brought in for next to nothing have made a profit.
150,000 when it's signed.
I think it's less than that. I think probably somebody it was something like that. But that's a phenomenal profit for someone who has barely played for the football club as well. You have to give again. Look, we're all quick to criticise Cardiff City Football Club, so let's give them the credit that they deserve. They haven't just taken the first offer, which has come in for Ebo Adams. They know Derby wants him. They know Derby want to build their midfield around him. And they haven't sold him on the cheap. Like when I spoke to BBC Derby just after they got promoted, Ed was saying, 250 grand, that'll be fine. And I was like, not sure about that, but we haven't paid that much. We paid a little bit less than that. So even that would have been a profit. So fair play to the football club for saying, no, if you want him, you have to pay what we're asking. And they've stuck to it. And it looks like they've got that price. Again, they've wanted Chris Willock. It looks like he's going to sign for QPR. They've gone and got him. They wanted Callum Chambers, who's a England international experienced Premier League defender. They've gone and got him. He's bought himself out of his contract. You have to give them credit. And we're not, what is very encouraging is these are permanent deals. We're not picking up players on loan. We're going to build the foundations. We're going to sign quality, build a squad that can compete, and then at the end of the window, use the loan system to beef it up when some players move out. If you lose a couple of youth players go on loan, you can bring in your loan players then just to make sure you've got a nice, strong squad. We all know it could go the other way very quickly with Cardiff. We've all been Cardiff fans for years. We know how up and down and whatnot it can be, but you have to give them credit. We've been crying out for this level of organisation, motivation, being driven and proactive in the transfer market and how you go about your business, like getting it done. And listen, mate, right? Just lastly, before I let you speak, I know a few people who kind of get like bits of information and stuff like that. And I'm so happy to say that like all week, it's been nearly impossible to get any semblance of like information or leaks out of the club. This window and this week so far has been the most tight-lipped that I can remember Cardiff City in my lifetime in terms of leaks and things like that to media and to people who know people and stuff like that. And I think, again, you have to give the football club credit because I think that's massive.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Simon. I think City have learned their lessons because, Ilic being a good example, the striker that we all thought was going to sign. And, everyone's getting excited. And then next minute he hasn't signed, and I think that's you're absolutely right. You can't have like the rumors are going around everywhere, aren't they? We're all City fans. We'll all look at players at certain clubs and say, oh, well, he's on a contract. We can do that. But when it comes from the club, then, fans are rightly going to start saying, oh, right, this is fantastic. And if it doesn't happen, then, it really puts a dampener on things. And you sort of the morale of supporters, people have, grumps and gripes or whatever. And this time, maybe, as I said, there's been changes in the recruitment team. They've added to it. They've really done their due diligence on players. There's an intelligence to these signings. There's a real intelligence. No one in the game would, I had a QPR fan today saying to me, it's a big loss for them. And Willett could have been signed by 3 other championship clubs who were desperate to sign him. So there's already, Willett's not going to come to us at his age if he thinks, it's not just about the money. That's a factor, obviously, but it's not his last. It's not his last contract. He's not 30. And he's not seeking that, last big contract. He's at his prime, and he's come to us again, like Chambers, saying, right, this is what we intend to do this season. Are you on board? This is how we're going to play. They've got the attacking coach that's come in, the defensive coach with Bulut has gone. So, there's a real intent and there's a good feeling about the club. I think I've got to give full credit to Tam and everyone in that recruitment team. And the way we've done our business so far has been outstanding. And I know, there's all sorts of guys we're linked with, like, for example, Bradshaw, the striker from Millwall, which I hope, again, that's a rumour, that's not going to happen because I don't really rate the guy in terms of where we want to get to. But as I said, there's plenty to be encouraged about the moment. And I think, as I said, the direction the club are going in, it's really exciting.
Yeah, indeed, mate. A couple of rumours that I heard today or saw like on social media and stuff and forums. I want to run. I'm just going to kind of give you the name and I want you to sort of say whether you would like it, why you'd like it or you wouldn't like it, and also where you kind of rate it on the likelihood sort of scale. So give it a mark out of 10 for how likely you think it'll be. And then sort of go into whether you think it would be a good sign-in or a bad sign-in, etc. And again, it's just a bit of fun. It's just some stuff I've seen on social media. Although Liam said we had Ebo Adams on a free from Forest Green, so that makes it even better, doesn't it?
Even better, yeah.
So one crazy rumor which was going around, Reese has just put in there, but it started off on Anis's forum. Which look, I know people will have their opinions of Anis. My interactions with him, he's always been really sound to me, so I've got no issue with him. And also, he does get little bits and pieces of leaks and info. So, but anyway, it was posted on his forum that Dele Alli is in Cardiff. Didn't say whether we were talking to him, just said that he's in Cardiff. Would you take a gamble on Dele Alli to start, mate?
Well, I think would I take a gamble on Dele Alli is a difficult question because we don't know who Dele Alli is anymore. I think he really his career's. I think what we got to look at is Dele Alli's position is a position we've got a lot of players in and around those kind of playmakers or something. So I think if Colwell's staying, I'd rather stick with what we've got. He's probably whether he's got a girlfriend in Cardiff. I presume that's what he said.
I have no idea.
I wouldn't be to be honest with you. As much as he's a name from the past, I wouldn't be excited about that one.
So for me, I think, look, it would be a massive, massive gamble. I think it's very unlikely. As soon as I saw it, I asked the question of a few people who I thought would, they would know, and they all said no, they knew nothing about it. And I think I might be right in saying that Fabrizio Romano confirmed that he trained with Everton today, because I believe he's going to get a chance at Everton this year, certainly in pre-season. Look, at the end of the day, at the top of his game, you'd absolutely take him because was such a fantastic player, but he has not been at that level for probably at least 4 years now. So that's a long period. And I look back to when we had Ravel Morrison, because I was so excited by that, because I knew how good he could be. But I think he played like one game or something in total, like in total minutes. So that's not one I would go for.
Yeah, there's certain players in the game, Si, going back to years ago, Robin Friday of Cardiff, who were absolute geniuses, but, the mentality, and away from the football, they just didn't have the discipline that's required, at the top level. And I even look at, someone nowhere near as skillful, but, I always hark back to Josh Murphy, who we tragically signed from Norwich for 11 million quid, who, I know from people who sort of were in certain professions, who used to cut his hair and things, and his whole kind of persona and attitude was always, I've got this, I've got that, I'm a football player, I've got this car, I got, and even from that conversation, the barber who cut his hair didn't even know it before that. Afterwards, he found out he was a professional footballer, and before he found out, he was going to say, some unpleasant things about him, because he thought this guy is a flash, so no good. And then there's a lot of these guys out there, side, unfortunately, who've got all the ability in the world, but they just can't either knuckle down, be professional 100%. And I think these type of guys like Dele Alli, he had the world at his feet at one point. He was probably worth 50 million plus, at Tottenham, and he could have been going to someone like Barcelona, couldn't he, a few years ago? And now he's struggling to probably get, he's playing in the reserves at Everton. It's amazing now how things change.
Yeah, I mean, I had a conversation with Rodri on yesterday's show about young Yamal from Spain, and basically said, like, he's got the world at his feet, but he's only 16. Like, so much can change in a very short space of time for him. It's very early days, but like, there's a lot.
I think the difference is, the difference with the Yamal is, if you look at his history, he came from one of the poorest districts of Barcelona. His parents are sort of immigrants who come with nothing, and he's been brought up in that kind of environment. So unfortunately, a lot of these players like Maradona, who obviously have come from poverty, they've the ones who come from nowhere and really been able to consistently shine, because they kind of appreciated. They're quite humble human beings. If you've got good parents, etc. So I think. I wouldn't be surprised if Yamal, to be honest, never ended up like Robin Friday, for example.
Yeah. So next on my playful list of rumours that have been linked with Cardiff City is Sidney van Hooijdonk. Played at Norwich second half of last season. Didn't play a lot of football though. But an interesting one.
Where is he at the moment? Is he on? Was he on loan?
Yeah, he was on loan, so he's gone back to wherever he was. I can find out.
Is it in?
I think it's in the Dutch league. I think you're going on the name, really, aren't you? I don't know enough about his scoring record, other than the fact that his surname, obviously, from his dad, is more on reputation. I don't really know. I spoke to a Norwich fan today who said he was one of the worst strikers that he'd ever seen play football, and that he kind of just falls over all the time. And I actually put on social media, I said, if that is the case, then I would steer well away from him, because we just simply don't need another striker or another big striker who can't stay on his feet and hold the ball up and things like that.
No.
So he would be a no for me purely on the feedback from Norwich fans. However, what I would say in defence of that is he might, because he barely played for Norwich, so it might have just been a case of he didn't get like that fitness and momentum to show what he could do. Like he was kind of struggling for match fitness and getting 5 minutes here and there. That can be difficult. So if you wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, I suppose, but it would be a no for me now.
Yeah.
Next on the list is a fascinating one. This isn't one that I have seen. This is one that someone in the comments has heard of or seen somewhere, and that's Paul Mullen from Wrexham. I will say, I think there's absolutely zero chance of Wrexham selling Paul Mullen because Ryan Reynolds and the rest of them absolutely love him. So I'd be shocked if they were to sell him, unless it was for ridiculous money. But would you take a punt on him?
Well, I think, with Paul Mullen, I think, every player's got a value, haven't they, Simon?
Yeah,
certainly Paul Mullen has done very well. I mean, I'm a massive Wales fan as well as a City fan. So, I've been in debates with Wales fans up north who said that Mullen, should be in the squad. And I've always said, well, look, you've got to be playing at a certain level, at least championship level, I believe, to be playing international football. That's just my view. And a lot of ex-players like Blakey, Cardiff and Wales have said the same thing, that obviously if you're meeting up with guys who have been in the Premier League, like your Harry Wilsons and that, and your Brooks, if sort of Mullen comes in there, you get found out quite quickly. But I've got to be honest, Si, everything I've seen about Mullen, I like. His determination, his goals have been fantastic. He's proven in FA Cup games against championship sides like Coventry that he's been very, very good. And I mean, if he was available for I don't know, 2 million quid, because I don't know if his contract is another 2 years or 1 year, I'd definitely be interested. But again, as I said, it's if you're buying someone in League One, then you're going to be paying 2-3 million quid. You better make sure you know what you're doing, because, as I said, he's never played outside League One. He's got a massive amount of goals at Cambridge.
He's never played above League One, have he?
He's never played above League One.
Yeah.
So, you're taking a big risk. You're a big fish in a small pond, if you like, in that environment. Aaron Collins, we talked about Will Evans. All these guys have scored. Mark Harris, ex-City, scored nearly 20 goals at Oxford. So they've all been doing it at League One, League Two level. But as I said, it's interesting because I talked about. I think there was a guy at Peterborough, and I think his name's Clark Harris, and I thought we talked about it before, that he was at Portsmouth. He scored a hatful of goals at Portsmouth in League One. He was out of contract, and then remember I said to you that where's he gone? Rotherham. And Rotherham obviously just been relegated from the Championship. So what you've got to ask yourself is that there's 24 clubs in the Championship. They would have looked at these lads and thought, if none of them want to take a punt on him, there must be something in it. And that's not to say there's not another Jamie Vardy out there. But as I said, it's interesting that, a lot of these Championship clubs are swaying away from prolific League One players. So personally, I would take him, but as I say, it's never happened.
I think the thing for me with the lower league players is there's one thing taking a punt on a lower league player. There's another thing if you've got a relatively small budget, spending 2 million whatever on a player from a lower league, because there is a risk attached to it, and then you've also blown a significant part of your budget. So that it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But in terms of, Paul Mullen, one of the things which, do you know who he reminds me of, should I say, who's someone who I'm not a fan of, is he reminds me of Lee Trundle, whereby he does remarkable things, but probably was only like to a certain level of football. Like, you can do remarkable things in the lower leagues, but if you put him in a Premier League team, for instance, he would have got found out very quickly against, top level and a Rio Ferdinand or someone like that. They'd have had him for breakfast. But at a certain level, was capable of ridiculous things. And I think Paul Mullen is definitely capable of ridiculous things. I don't know where it's come from. Rob just put it in the chat. So I was just kind of interested in whether you take a punt. Personally, I don't think Ryan Reynolds and co have any need to sell him, and I don't think they would sell him for anything other than a ridiculous price of sort of 9-10. Like, I just don't think they'd sell him. I think it's that much, like that sort of.
Yeah, I think he's got. I mean, Mullen loves Wrexham, doesn't he? And I think there's a lot of players out there that haven't got a lot of connection. I'd say the same with Cardiff City players, because, like I said, I'm old school. Phil Dwyer and that, they were local lads. They love the club, and it's very difficult now, Si, to have players who know much when they sign for the club, even doing the Ayatollah. I mean, the amount of times I've seen new players come off the bench, and the fans are saying do the Ayatollah, and they haven't got a clue. And again, it's when a player signs for a club, they've got to engage with the community. They've got to feel for it. I know obviously players could be at clubs for 2-3 years and then move on. We know that, but they've got to be seen to be loving the club. To get that attachment with fans. And I think Paul Mullen's got that connection to Wrexham, which I think is fantastic. He really loves the community. They love him, and there's a really good bond between the two, and it works really well for both of them. So I think for Cardiff City, talking on the positives that we've talked about in transfers and the direction the club are going in communication, one area we've got to improve on is the link between the players and the community and the fans. And I think if we can do that this season, I think that would be an improvement as well.
Yeah, do you know what would be good for improving that kind of relationship with the fans is live events with local media companies and content creators. Just an idea. Yeah, we've been linked with Tom Bradshaw. I really hope with all the greatest respect to Tom, I wish him well with his career and everything. He is not a striker which I would want Cardiff to go for. I don't think he's got the prolific nature we're looking for. I also don't think his link-up play. Like, I'd be with. See, here's the thing. Like, I was having this conversation with someone yesterday, right? Is I would take a number 9 who only scores 10 goals next year, but their link-up play and ability to hold the ball up and their overall footballing brain and ability, the way they go about their business on the pitch was sky high level, but they're not prolific goal scorers. They only maybe get 10 or 12 goals a season. I would take that all day long, because I think when you look at the players we already had in terms of your Ramseys, your Colwells, your Ashfords, then you're adding in Willock, potentially Casey McAteer, Millicent Ali, maybe. These are exciting, creative players. So if you've got a number 9 who scores a few goals, but his footballing IQ is high, and he bags a couple of goals, but his link-up play is exceptional, I would take that over someone who will get you 20 goals a season but offers nothing else. I really would, because I think. Yeah, no, I
agree. I mean, the thing is,
the players around him.
Yeah, I think the thing is, we scored 53 goals last season, and if you want to be in the top 6, you need to be scoring 70. So that's an average. So you're looking at scoring an extra 15, 17 goals a season, and those goals have got to come from somewhere. And obviously Turnbull's been signed; he can score some goals. Ramsey needs to be fit; he can score some goals. Willock obviously can score goals, but you're right, the striker, if he comes in and scores 10, 12, we've got to have midfield players scoring 5, 6, 7. Gutas has been proven that he's a very good goal-scoring defender, and I'm sure Chambers from set pieces, will be a threat as well. But, we have to get more than 15, 17 more goals if we want to be challenging in that top 6 or 8.
We've got to bloody get Turnbull on set pieces as well.
Like I said,
my head in, mate, at the end of the season. That did really fried my brain.
Yeah. I know it's. I mean, the thing is, like I said, he's kind of like he has scored some cracking goals for us, haven't he? For Celtic, sorry. And he's got ability. I mean, I'm a fan like anyone else, and I've seen him. And like I said, you said you there's a player there, but at the same time, he's got to hit the ground running. I hope he's playing from the get-go. But the problem is, Colwell, as I said, there's Ramsey, Colwell, Turnbull. They can't all play, and if we're gonna keep Colwell, or if someone's not going to come in with a crazy bid, so we are going to sell him, then Colwell should be starting in the first team without question. If Ramsey's fit, he's not going to play more than 20 games, but between Turnbull and Ramsey, they may do share it. But I just think myself, if Turnbull's on the bench, it's going to be very difficult for him to come on 15 minutes here and there and try and make an impact. So it could be
the only potential, I suppose, is if he does end up playing a bit deeper. Like whether he will or not is another story. I think he'll be better from deeper, but I know some people disagree. I just don't think he's as good with his back to goal. Just my opinion.
No, I agree with that. But like I said,
but then saying that, even Reese just put in the comments, and someone else told me this. I'd forgotten until just now. Ryan Winter was taking the corners again in the friendly the other day. That's a problem for me, mate, because he's not good, and it was infuriating last year. Now, whether if Turnbull's not on the pitch, they've got to find another option, someone who can take those set pieces.
Well, it could be Willock. You never know. You just don't know until the new guys come in. You've got 3 or 4 new guys in. I mean, at the moment, pre-season, I had fans saying to me, I can't believe we've lost to a non-league side. I mean, for goodness sakes,
it doesn't matter, does it?
It doesn't matter. These are friendly games. These are friendlies. Even if we beat AC Milan 3-0, it means nothing. I mean, at the end of the day, these guys. First of all, most teams haven't got their squads yet. They're 5 or 6 players short. I mean, Sunderland, I think, has signed 7 players. They're looking for another 4 or 5. I mean, this is what squads are. They're building. In August, that's when, the first 2 weeks, again, it's never. You can never say, oh God, after the first 3 games, we know what the league's going to look at. You don't. It's the first 10, 12 games. You can get a feel for it, can't you? But some City fans getting frustrated, losing to non-league sides. It's crazy.
Do you know what's funny, mind? I'm sure I'm trying to. As my memory is notoriously bad, I'm pretty sure that Callum Chambers was taking set pieces for Arsenal when he was first teamer there. So I don't know whether that's another option.
Yeah. Well, he's got a hell of a lot of ability. Like you said, he can play a number of positions, and I'm sure with his physique, he'd be a threat from corners, set pieces. But as I said, it's fantastic news for us. These first 2 signings are so encouraging.
Yes.
I think if you're looking at signing guys on free transfers, and there's a hell of a lot out there that are probably coming to their end of the career that wouldn't excite. These 2 are very exciting signings for us, and I'm over the moon with it. Absolutely over the moon.
Yeah, do you know what I'm going to quickly do, just as we wrap up? I'm going to have a look at the free transfers in the Premier League, which are kind of out of contract now, because when we looked before, we were looking at Championship, League One, Scotland. We didn't kind of look at the Premier League one so much because we all sort of assumed that we'd be looking elsewhere, because of funding and things like that. But the club's been real clever, and we haven't even got to the where they're going to look abroad and maybe look at the Turkish, the Greek markets, places like this. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I believe that Bulut's drive and motivation to kick on this year is rubbing off on other members of the football club. I really believe that, because when he came out and made that statement after he re-signed his contract, it wasn't, we're rebuilding. This season's like we're going to see how it goes, and then next season it was like, no, this season we're going for the playoffs, and that was a statement, mate. And I think what you have to give, we'll finish by giving the club credit. as it stands, if they continue the rest of the transfer window with this organisation, this, quick movement in transfers, this negotiation ability, when you look at Ebo Adams and Callum Chambers and the way they've gone about those, if they continue with that and they continue with the very streamlined thinking and we need this is who we want, we're going to get them in, we could be in with a real shout at the end of this transfer window. But the club has set themselves a very high standard this week in how they go about their business. It is imperative that they continue that until this window closes and beyond, because this is how a football club should be run. This is what we should be doing.
Yeah, and I've got to say, so I'm not too disappointed. Even is Kiefer Moore's gone to, looks like Sheffield United.
No, he's got to Hull.
Is he definitely going to Hull? Because I think Sheffield United.
The Hull. I'm sure I saw Hull confirm it. I'll double check that now.
Yeah, double check it. I think Sheffield United. I think he's signed for Sheffield United for personal reasons. I think in the end, I think you were right originally. I don't know, because I think I
just see it. They hijacked the deal right at the end.
Yeah, right at the end. He said it was for personal reasons, but I can't believe Hull to Sheffield was for personal reasons. I think that was for money. I like I said, I didn't dislike Kiefer Moore when he was with us, but I just wasn't overly excited about re-signing him. I don't know why, but I just think our style of play, and things like that. But I think, as you said, it's so exciting at the moment. So I think City fans next week will be waiting on the edge of their seats for their next couple of signings.
Yeah. There's like some stuff that I was specifically asked not to say tonight, and I'm like trying really hard not to say it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. I'm very excited by it. I'm very impressed by it, but it remains to be seen. Happens, how we can go about it. I would like to think we might see a couple out soon as well, but I think the manager's going to want to make sure he gets the ins he wants first before he starts moving people out. So, like I said, we might see Perry NG go, or Romeo go, because we've got Callum Chambers in. We may see possibly, I don't know what they're going to do with Keane Ashford. I would like to see him stay as a backup, but they might loan him out. Now they've got Willock and maybe some others in. It's going to be really interesting, really exciting time for Cardiff City. I've got to say, we've got a bit of money to spend. It's not like a massive amount, but we do have a little pot of wages and we have got money to spend. The manager is driven to spend it. The board are backing him. It's an exciting time to be a Cardiff City fan. It's also an exciting time to be a Welsh fan. And I hope to see you all on the 26th. If not, I can't see you all because there's literally more people watching now than there were tickets available. However, the tickets are sold out for the Craig Bellamy and Noel Mooney event presented by Ace Podcast Nation and myself. But we are hoping to work something out to maybe put some extra tickets on sale. So keep an eye out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube is basically where you'll find me and Ace Podcast Nation, but there are some others as well. Keep an eye on it, and we'll obviously keep you informed. Pan, as always, a pleasure, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Si.
The Flower Hour are doing a quiz tomorrow, among other things, because they didn't do one on Wednesday. So make sure you check out that. It's always a good time doing the quiz. So it's always going to be, it's always a good show on a Saturday, nice and relaxed. Just hanging out, having a chat ahead of the Euros final on Sunday. I will be back on Sunday with the breakdown, where I will be breaking down how Chris Willock, Callum Chambers, and maybe a few others fit into the Cardiff City squad and playing style. And that's what we'll be breaking down on Sunday. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers,
Cheers, mate.